Welcome everybody. Biohacking for optimal performance part 3. We made it. All right, and today we're going to talk about nutritional ketosis, but again, we're talking about biohacking here. And biohacking is basically the art and science of becoming superhuman. You know, basically getting the most out of our bodies. So whatever our body is capable of, I want to basically exploit that and basically utilize everything our body is capable of to have optimal human performance. And previously in parts 1 and 2, we talked about heat stress, heat therapy, you know, infrared sauna use, etc., sunlight, and we also talked about cold stress, cold thermogenesis, you know, things like cold showers, cryotherapy. And again, today, nutritional ketosis. And here's the deal. Do you think we have a health problem going on, not in just this world, but in the US?
Yes.
I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? And if this picture doesn't really do it justice, let's just look at a couple stats, if you will. 2/3 of Americans are overweight and obese. 2/3. So now you're a minority if you're not overweight. It's crazy, okay? Over half of all Americans are struggling with a chronic illness. Over half. 1 in 5 deaths are obesity related. I would argue it's a little bit more. When you're talking about any type of chronic disease, let's just look at cancer. 1 in 3 women today will develop cancer at some point in their life in the US. And 1 in 2 men will get cancer at some point in their life. You know, so you can look at the people next to you. This is not good, right? We got to do something about that. And this is a complete result of our US dietary guidelines. This is what they recommend. This is what they've recommended for a long time now, is this food guide pyramid. And what you're going to see is what they want you to do, what our government wants us to do, is eat 11 servings of white breads, pastas, cereals, grains, French fries. I don't even know. I mean, it's crazy. That's what they want. Bagels. You know, they want you to have 11 servings of that. That makes up basically your base, your foundation of the food guide pyramid. And healthy fats and oils are at the very top. And what do they say? Use sparingly. So this is a huge, huge problem. And it's such a problem that if you actually want optimal human performance, if you want optimal health, you literally have to flip this entire thing upside down. So if you want to be healthy, do the exact opposite of what the US dietary guidelines tell you to do to be healthy. That's how bad it is. And you know what? This is basically, what is this? This is the high carb, low fat diet that's been going on for 20 plus years now. It has not worked. We've just gotten sicker and sicker. And if you flip this over, this is what it looks like. You're going to see healthy fats and vegetables at the bottom, which should be our staple, and at the top, I wouldn't even put them on my food guide pyramid. You're going to put your bagels, you know, your cereals, breads, pastas. This is the way to eat for optimal health. Do the exact opposite of what they're telling you. When they want you to eat 11 plus servings of breads, pastas, cereals, grains, that's going to chronically elevate your blood sugar, because grains, no matter what kind of form, it's going to elevate your blood sugar. When you have chronically elevated blood sugar from eating 11 plus servings of this crap, what's going to happen? You're going to have chronic insulin release, because insulin then takes the blood sugar and puts it in your cells. Now, insulin is a fat storage hormone. So basically, if we keep eating this carbohydrate-laced foods as our staple of our diet, our insulin's going to be chronically elevated and chronically wanting to push food into our cells so we can store more and more fat. All of those obesity statistics, this is from this and having insulin levels chronically elevated. And what happens if they're chronically elevated? Well, pretty soon, it's just like when you hear a dog barking in the background. Pretty soon you're able to tune it out. And that's what your body does. It sees all this insulin, and pretty soon it becomes unresponsive to this chronic elevated insulin. So you get insulin resistance from eating the food guide pyramid that they tell you to do. And when you have insulin resistance, that is the heart of every single health failure in the US, leads to every chronic disease, heart attack, stroke, cancer, diabetes, you name it. But let's just look at cancer for a second. Again, I talked about 1 in 2 males, 1 in 3 females, but let's just look at a daily statistic, because this is freaky. In the US alone, 1,600 people will die every day from cancer. In the US. Is that crazy? It's like, seriously? Like, that is insane. In the world, 21,000 deaths per day. Like, what? From cancer only. It just blew my mind. But the thing is, this all again relates to that food guide pyramid that they recommend, because all the way back in 1931, a guy named Dr. Otto Warburg, He won the Nobel Prize in 1931 because he literally found the real cause of cancer. And what he did is he titled this the Warburg effect. He looked at cancer cells and he found out that they were defective, that they had a defective structure in their cell called the mitochondria. If you remember, that's kind of been a theme about this biohack series, is that your mitochondria is like your battery chargers of your body. It's what produces energy. So if you want to perform better, you got to optimize your mitochondria. But what he found out here is Dr. Otto Warburg, he found out that cancer cells have a defective mitochondria. And what he found in particular is that they had an altered metabolism where they consumed lots and lots of glucose, sugar, in the absence of oxygen. But basically what you need to know is that the cancer cells were different than normal cells because they were consuming a ton of glucose, a ton of sugar. Basically what happens is that when you have insulin resistance from eating 11 plus cereals of grains, cereals, French fries, white bagels, all this stuff, you're going to get insulin resistance. And that insulin resistance is going to damage your mitochondria, and that is at the core of almost every chronic disease, especially cancer. When you look at it deeper, if you're comparing a healthy cell versus a cancerous cell, a healthy cell has something called metabolic flexibility. They basically can get their energy from fat, they can get it from sugar, they can get it from either one. Healthy cells can get their energy from either one of those sources. Cancer cells have a built-in fatal flaw. They can only get their energy from sugar. They can't get it from fat. This lack of flexibility is crucial because they can only feed on glucose. So basically, if you starve the body of glucose, you're starving the cancer cells. But have they ever tried this? Have they ever recommended any of this stuff? This guy won the Nobel Prize, for God's sakes, in 1931. We've known about this for years, and this is still going on. And so if we constantly eat 11 plus servings of breads, yada, 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 you're going to chronically have elevated glucose, which is just a ton of cancer food right there. Now, if you eliminate carbs, common sense is that you're going to lower your blood glucose level and you're going to starve cancer cells dead in its tracks. It makes sense. When you're talking about cancer therapy, you've got to add this as a nutritional approach. It only makes sense. And so I actually had a relative recently who was in the ICU, and I went to go visit him. And the nurse comes in, sweet lady, but she brings him his lunch. And I almost just freaked out when I saw what was there. I mean, I actually took a picture of it, and my wife had to hold me back because I was ready to go berserk. But this is what they were feeding hospital people at the ICU. And the ICU is kind of like the bad area where people are really sick, so you'd think that you'd give them a healthy diet. We got a Coke, massive high fructose corn syrup, pure sugar. Let's just feed up all those cancer cells. We got a low-fat, dairy milk. We got a little pie for dessert. We got a nice little, sugar-loaded lasagna there with, I think, 1 or 2 steamed broccoli. Oh, they put the broccoli there. Yes, my gosh. It was canned broccoli, so don't even worry about it, yeah. But this is what's going on right now. It's a joke. I mean, they have Dunkin' Donuts at cancer clinics, for the patients, right? So this is a crime. They know this research, and they still do this stuff because they don't make money when you're healthy. They stay in business as they keep you sicker, sicker, and sicker. Dr. Thomas Seyfried, he's a PhD. He's one of the pioneers in the application of a ketogenic diet and fighting cancer and other chronic diseases. But he's basically just, he used a little common sense here, which is not so common anymore. But he basically said is that if insulin resistance is causing defective mitochondria, and that's leading to chronic disease, well, what we got to do is optimize our mitochondria. Oh my gosh, what a thought. So what we got to do is we got to stop the sugar, which damages our mitochondria, and we got to start becoming an efficient fat burner. That's exactly what we got to do. And so what we're going to be talking about today is going to be super empowering for you guys, because we're going to talk about vital nutrients that are actually going to turn on your body's innate ability to heal itself and get healthy. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where ketosis comes in. Back up for a little bit. Our body prefers fat as fuel, way much so over carbohydrates. We love fat, healthy fat. Healthy fat are, things like healthy oils, grass-fed butter. You're talking avocados. They love healthy fat there. And when we're trying to become an efficient fat burner, the macronutrients you consume become very important. Macronutrients are things like your fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. The percentages of macronutrients that you consume are very, very important to become an efficient fat burner. And the 2 best ways to do that is a ketogenic diet, which has all the optimized macronutrient levels, and also fasting. Those both will put you in a state of ketosis where you're using fat as fuel, where you're becoming an efficient fat burner. And so a ketogenic diet is a diet high in healthy fats. Very, very high quality foods here. High in healthy fats, moderate in quality protein, and low in carbohydrates. When you're in this ketogenic diet, when you're doing it for a while, your body starts to break down its fat in your midsection and turns it into ketones that can be used by the body. And ketones are amazing. It's the biodiesel for your body. They're way more efficient than carbohydrates. They generate way less free radicals than carbohydrates. Remember, you do want free radicals a little bit. But when you're constantly just metabolizing sugar over and over and over again, which everyone is, we produce way too many free radicals, tilting the deck in like the sickness favor. We just gotta stay healthy. And so you're gonna create a lot less free radicals, and these free radicals damage your mitochondria, but also to your DNA, your proteins, everything. I understand that a diet like this is the complete opposite of the US dietary guidelines, the food guide pyramid, because they're all about the high carbohydrate, low fat diet, the complete opposite of what I've been saying. And again, where they're getting their carbohydrates from. Refined grains, they're doing lots of sugars, low quality protein, low quality fat. And so this is not a mainstream diet. And so this will get criticized. And that's okay, because when you come up with a rational, a safe method to get healthy, it's going to be criticized every single day, hands down, because again, they don't want you healthy. Food and pharmaceutical industries, they have successfully lobbied governments into basically distorting the truth to government officials because all they're trying to do is protect their bottom line, and that's their pockets or their profits, whatever you want to look at it. And that's all they care about here. And so why would you want to get into ketosis? Why would you want to apply a ketogenic diet and get into ketosis? Well, we already talked about it's a clean fuel, a lot less reactive oxygen species or free radicals. And so again, when you have excess free radicals from sugar, you have this cascade of tissue, protein, cell membrane, genetic damage, and it also speeds up aging. So if we can use fat for fuel, generate way less free radicals, we're going to age way better, we're going to look younger, fresher for longer, and that's exactly what we need to be. It's a huge anti-inflammatory. Ketones by nature are anti-inflammatory, so it's great for any type of systemic inflammation, any type of arthritis, any type of disease. Mental clarity goes through the roof when you're in ketosis. Because here's the deal, if you give your brain glucose and ketones, it will every time go after the ketones first, preferentially. The problem is that you actually have to have ketones there to begin with, which no one's done, because following a strict ketogenic diet is difficult. It is, it's restrictive. These ketones that you flood your body with being in a ketogenic diet, you're gonna have the making of brand new mitochondria, the energy powerhouses of the cell. The more we can produce energy, especially in our brain, we're gonna have more mental clarity, more mental focus. And again, it's a neuroprotective benefit. It protects your brain cells. And so this is gonna help with any neurodegenerative disorder, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. In fact, Alzheimer's is actually known as type 3 diabetes because there's insulin resistance in the brain. Now, if the brain can't consume glucose because they're not responsive to insulin, well, what we really need is a better, cleaner energy source. Enter ketones. So ketones will give your brain that fuel and actually help combat those neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, etc. It's also going to curb your hunger cravings. Because here's the deal, if you're just consuming all these carbohydrates, it spikes up your blood sugar, insulin gets released, then you go down in blood sugar. So you're having this constant, basically, energy flow. Once it goes down, you get these massive cravings again. You spike it up, insulin release goes down. So it's not steady, it's not a flatline energy source. Well, that's what ketones is. When you start to get into ketosis and you burn your stored fat for energy, you're gonna go into ketosis and it's gonna give you this stable energy source all the way through. So you're not gonna be tired, you're gonna have this heightened energy throughout the entire day. It's really, really cool. People who say they've tried this and feel, low energy, I said, well, what were your ketone levels in your blood? Well, I didn't test them. Well, they weren't in ketosis. You will know if you are in ketosis if you have that heightened energy throughout the entire day. Here's how you implement this. For carbohydrates, out of all the calories you consume in the day, 5 to 10% are carbohydrates, 70 to 80% is going to be healthy fat, and 15 to 20% is going to be proteins. It's hard to calculate this when you first start out. It's hard to know exactly what percentage of macronutrients you're going to be consuming on a day-to-day basis. So there are tools that we're going to discuss here too that you can utilize that makes it really, really easy. You don't have to break out your calculator and do all this math and stuff. I'm going to show you how to make it easy. But basically, I recommend this device, the Precision Extra. And that's that picture right here. And basically, it's a blood ketone and glucose meter. Super easy. You come in a pack, it's like 20 bucks on Amazon, but you prick your finger, just put a little drop of blood on there, and it tells you accurately what your blood ketones is. And you know, if it's over 0.8 millimolar, you're gonna be in ketosis. If it's below that, you're not gonna be in ketosis. So 0.8 is kind of that magic number that I like to be in, where I start to feel those benefits, that increased mental clarity, focus, energy, all of that stuff. This is what I was talking about before, that little tool you can use. If you go to this website, chronometer.com/Mercola, Dr. Mercola actually set this device up that's aimed specifically for a ketogenic diet. So you plug in all the foods, the amounts you eat, and again, you also will need a scale too. Because if a serving size is like 2 grams, well, how are you gonna know what 2 grams is? So you gotta kind of weigh it so you know, you just put the weight in there, you put what food it is, it calculates it all for you on this internet tool. So it'll tell you the percentages of macronutrients in your diet. Because if you're gonna do it a guessing game, I would not recommend that because this is hard work. It's hard work to have this type of restrictive diet, and if you're just doing this as a guessing game, like why would you wanna do that if you had a high chance of failing? So you really wanna know that you're meeting these macronutrient ratios so you can successfully get into ketosis. In here, I kind of show you how to do it mathematically. I've talked about this in another talk. The math confused everybody, so we're just not going to go there. Just go to that website. You know, it's late. You know, I understand. But now we need to talk about, we know the macronutrient levels, so now let's talk about the foods that we can consume. What foods are okay under a ketogenic diet? Well, first off is vegetables. We want a lot of vegetables, absolutely. A lot of fiber-containing vegetables. But the ones that are acceptable are the low-carb veggies. So what I want you to think about, I want you to think celery, greens, cauliflower, versus things like beets, carrots, potatoes. Unfortunately, you can't have like root vegetables on this diet. You can't have the starchy ones like potatoes, sweet potatoes, even though those can be healthy, not for a ketogenic diet, because they just have too many carbohydrates that will increase blood sugar that will take you out of ketosis. So for this, you can't have those. And here's a list of acceptable keto-friendly veggies to start off with. You know, avocado, my favorite. That's also a big healthy fat right there. Asparagus, broccoli, cabbage, celery, kale, mushrooms. You know, there's a lot of stuff to choose from. You just can't have those sugary ones. Next, we got keto-friendly healthy fats. And the fats, there's numerous amounts of fats here. I listed them all here, but my favorites are coconuts. Coconut oil are awesome. I do tons of macadamia nuts. Macadamia nuts are crucial because they basically have the least mold toxins exposure, so they're very, very clean, and also too, they have the lowest amount of protein. And what you're gonna find is, remember, a ketogenic diet is high in healthy fats, moderate protein, and low in carbohydrates. But moderate protein, when you actually find out what moderate protein is, I guarantee you it will be way less than what we consume on an average day-to-day basis. And here's the thing, if we consume more protein than our body actually needs, it gets converted to blood sugar, raises glucose, takes you out of ketosis. So that's kind of how Atkins kind of missed the ball here. You know, people did lose weight on the Atkins diet, but really anytime you lower the amount of carbohydrates you eat, you're gonna lose weight. The problem is they didn't really distinguish between the fats of healthy fats versus unhealthy fats, and they consumed a lot more protein in most cases than they should. So some people weren't effectively getting into ketosis, which is actually the goal, because that's where the magic happens. When we're talking about protein, you wanna have moderate amounts, and the amounts I listed here, it's about 1 gram to 1.5 grams per kilogram lean body mass. That gets confusing because to know the amount of lean body mass you have to know your body fat percentage. And body fat percentage is actually a very hard measurement to do. You can do calipers, you can do the bioimpedance tests, but these things are pretty inaccurate. So the best rule of thumb is a great equation here, 0.325 to 0.75 grams per pound. So as an example, if someone weighs 170 pounds, this range comes out to 55 to 127 grams of protein per day. Now it's a big range there. And if you're not very active, if you don't exercise very much, you want to go towards that lower range, the 55 grams a day range, which is very little. But if you're more active, if you do more strength training, if you're an athlete, you want to go more in that upper scale because you're going to need that for muscle recovery. But here's the deal here. You want moderate amounts of the highest quality protein possible. Very important. So the criteria of getting a healthy meat, that's why so many people here, I mean, look at this criteria. Not only has it have to be grass-fed, it's got to be grass-finished. And that's crucial there. Most people just say grass-fed and that's good enough. It's not good enough. because that means an animal can eat grass their entire life, but that last month of them being raised, they can feed them a ton of grain, get them super fat, super fast, and then they can slaughter them. So that kind of takes all the benefits of being grass-fed out the door. So it's got to be both grass-fed and grass-finished when we're talking about beef. Chicken, it's got to be pasture-raised, free-range, organic, okay? No antibiotics, no hormones. You can't find meat that meets that criteria at Costco, at the stores. You know, we look for in most cases the organic symbol, but the organic symbol doesn't mean that the beef is grass-fed or grass-finished. It just means that the grains that animal was eating was not GMO and had pesticides. So organic is not that good. You need all of those criteria, and that's why I'm such a big advocate of ButcherBox. ButcherBox takes the guessing game out of it. It's a meat delivery service directly from grass-fed farms. They have multiple farms in the area, so you're literally getting it right from the source, no middlemen, no all these manufacturing processes. It's right there. If you use that link above, you'll get free ribeyes and $10 off your first order. But it's awesome. You get the full month delivery to your door in a cooler. I mean, it takes the work out of it. So you don't have to go to the store and try to find all the meat with that criteria, which again, you're not going to find anyway. So let's do this because we need the highest quality nutrients as possible to have optimal human performance. So ketosis is pretty awesome, right? Mental clarity, anti-inflammatory, an efficient fuel source for the body. It burns your stored fat for energy. It is freaking awesome. But if it's so great, why isn't everybody doing this? You know, if it's so awesome, how come no one's doing this? Anyone? The answer is that it's hard. It is freaking hard because, you know, a little bit too much protein here and there, a little extra carbs kicks you out. It's pretty quickly. But again, this is how our ancestors were designed. So we go on hunting for multiple days. So sometimes in some cases, 3 to 5 days without eating, they're still hunting effectively. Why? Because they've fasted, they've taken out the blood sugar, so your body's forced to burn its stored fat as energy. They're in nutritional ketosis. So that's why they still had heightened energy, heightened mental focus, so they could successfully hunt game and basically get all their game. But when they go in feast mode, then they would go out of ketosis. So our ancestors were in ketosis, were out of ketosis, they had all that metabolic flexibility. But the thing is, all we've done our entire lives is burn sugar. So we don't have that metabolic flexibility. We aren't a fat burner. But doing a ketogenic diet will help. So why is it so hard? It's hard because when you're transitioning from burning sugar our whole lives to now burning fat, you have this long transition state. And that transition state can be 2 weeks to 2 months. It can be crazy, but during that transition state, they call that the keto flu. I don't know why they put keto, because it's actually, you're not in ketosis then, but you're feeling brain fog, you're lethargic, you know, you just feel lack of energy. It's awful. If you ever tried it, it's not fun. So getting into ketosis is not fun. But once you're there, boom, you're like freaking superhuman. But to get there, it takes some work. Now, is there an easier way to get into ketosis? To avoid that keto flu, to avoid that transition? Thank God there is. And we're going to talk about that right now. And enter exogenous ketones. And particularly, I like this brand, Keto Operating System. So what this is, this helps basically you just perform better. It's a mixture of medium chain triglycerides and ketones to put in your body, and you can get into ketosis within 30 minutes to an hour. So instead of 2 months, you're in ketosis right away. So you're going to reap the benefits right away. But let's look at this. What's in this thing? What are in these? The first thing that's in it is ketones, and in particular, beta-hydroxybutyrate, which is the primary ketone in your body that's used for fuel. Well, beta-hydroxybutyrate is bound with the salt in this drink. So once you consume it, it dissociates from the salt, and basically it elevates your blood ketones levels instantly. So again, those can cross the blood-brain barrier, give you that neuroprotective effect, give you that mental focus, you know, all of that, all the benefits are gonna come from this. And basically, normally to get that elevated amount of ketones in your blood, you gotta go through that high healthy fat, low carbohydrate diet for a long period of time, or fast for a long period of time to get into that state. So this helps you bridge that gap. It's really, really nice. It also contains medium chain triglycerides. And what's cool is that those medium chain fats, you know, they're in a lot of coconut oils. Think about coconut oil there. What's cool about coconut oil that you hear about is that the fats in there, they can enter the liver directly without going through the lymph system. So what that means is that they can rapidly convert in the liver to ketones very, very fast. They don't have to go through all these extra metabolizing steps. So medium chain fats are awesome. That's why a lot of people consume MCT oil, because it gives them an energy source, because you're basically giving your body the precursors to make ketones. So basically what this drink is, it's a combination of the precursors to make your ketones naturally in your body, and it's also giving the product, the ketones themselves. But all in all, it stimulates something called fatty acid oxidation. It facilitates your liver into breaking down fat and making ketones as a byproduct so you can get into ketosis fast. And so what's cool is that if you're doing this, say that you're trying to do a ketogenic diet, and it's Friday night and you have a piece of pizza, damn. Well, guess what? The next morning, instead of trying to get to the ketosis again and going through that 2 week to 2 month transition state, consume this drink, get right back on the bandwagon, you're gonna be good. Because when you consume that drink again, it's gonna give you that mental focus. It's gonna take away that keto flu-like symptom so you don't have to feel like that. So that's why it's so cool. And so that's a way to biohack the ketogenic diet to make it easier. So, we're biohacking everything here now. So this is what it looks like. It's researched, it's used by Navy SEALs because you can actually derive more energy per oxygen molecule when you're in ketosis. That's why Navy SEALs do it. You can hold your breath longer in water when you're in ketosis. Athletes, endurance athletes do it because again, you derive more energy per unit oxygen molecule. So you're basically gonna get 30% more energy storage in your body. And so some people too, they consume this drink without even necessarily wanting to apply the ketogenic diet. Because anytime you want to have heightened performance for something, if you consume ketones, you're kind of going to get that temporary ketogenic-like state and have that mental focus and energy. So it's pretty cool. And the brands here, you can watch a really cool video that kind of describes this whole thing. It makes it really easy to understand at this website right there, DrMichaelVan.experienceketo.com. It'll show you a really cool video so you can kind of understand it a little bit better. Probably explains it a whole lot better than I can, so I would watch that video. But once you're in ketosis, or how do you know once you're in ketosis? And the answer is you'll for sure know. Like it's 100%. You're gonna notice that you're gonna have enhanced mental clarity, focus, you're gonna be able to burn fat, you're gonna start to lose inches off your waist, you're gonna have increased ketones in your blood. That's why that testing meter is so helpful to know that you're actually in it. You generally wanna see it above 0.8 millimolars. You're gonna have suppressed appetite. And a lot of people take that drink in replacement of a meal because it suppresses their appetite. Why? Because you're giving your body a sustained energy source, ketones. So if you have sustained energy, you're not hungry. Because the only reason why we get hungry is because we want energy. So it makes sense. And again, increased energy. And so once you become an efficient fat burner, once you can apply this for a long period of time and start successfully burning fat for fuel, then I recommend, and especially too, if someone's overweight, I recommend doing this for a long period of time until you reach your desired goals, till you reach your desired fat loss, your desired weight, whatever goal you're trying to do. And once you reach that goal, as maintenance mode, for instance, what I'm kind of in right now in maintenance mode, I'm happy where I'm at, I'm gonna do a cyclical approach to this. And how I do that is that, again, it's mimicking our ancestral pattern of eating, where they alternated periods of feast and famine. They'd go multiple days without eating, then they would feast and go out of ketosis. Then they would go multiple days without eating, getting into ketosis, then they would eat and go out of it. So our ancestors did this, and that's kind of what I do. I do about a 3-day pure on ketogenic diet once a week. It used to be twice a month, but I feel so great at it, I just do it once a week. And I try to do it on a 3-day period where I'm not doing strength training. Because strength training, if you're gonna be working out or something, you really want an actual insulin response after working out, because insulin stores energy. And so you want that actually anabolic effect after working out because it's gonna help you put on lean body mass. So if you can kind of look out your week, you definitely don't really necessarily wanna be in a full-on ketogenic diet mode during your massive strength training sessions, because that means you can't refeed with any carbohydrates to spike insulin to get more of that storage in there. So that's why I kind of pick my days, very, very strategically so I can exactly know how I can get the most bang for my buck out of my workout, out of everything. We talked about the top 3, actually the top 4 really, and next month, we're going to go over high-intensity interval training, high-intensity exercise, and we're also going to go over vibrational training. How vibration therapy, like our vibration machines back there, can help you and increase the efficiency of our mitochondria. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. References there. Woo!
Website that DrMichaelVan, I didn't get it all written down.
Well, I'm sorry. DrMichaelVan.experienceketo.com. Yep. Any questions?
I got one. So that Friday night when you eat that one slice of pizza.
Not me. No.
But so you gotta consume the keto drink afterwards. Do you gotta consume it for like?
You don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to do that stuff. But again, if you get out of ketosis and you're trying to start a healthy lifestyle again the next day, you're going to have to go through that transition period again.
Is it 14 days to 2 months?
Yeah, it depends. It depends on how long you've been, burning sugar for fuel. And if you've never tried this, chances are it's your entire life. You've been only using carbohydrates for fuel. So we basically have this untapped energy source, ketones, that we've never tapped into, which is pretty cool. So we don't even know how cool life can be unless you've used ketones for fuel, to use fat for fuel. And that's why all the big doctors out there, Dr. Mercola, everybody, or not doctor, but Dave Asprey, they're all talking about using fat for fuel. It's huge. Yeah. But the drink just helps you bridge that gap. And it's a big deal, I don't like to go through a 2-week period of where I just feel like crap. Maybe you do. But yeah, so that's like, in that instance, the next morning I would just get right back on the bandwagon. Do that drink, and then also consume a strict ketogenic diet so I can get back into that state. And again, once you're into that state, it's not that hard to stay in there because you're not going to have those food cravings anymore. We're not going to be craving sugar anymore because we have that sustained energy source, and your brain's going to be working awesomely. So you're going to be good.
How long has the OS been out?
2 years.
And what length was this research?
There's actually you can find the whole research link and see a bunch of it.
I mean, length of time. Do you know how long they researched it?
There's tons. So, yeah, it all varies.
Is it mostly like electrolyte stuff?
Is it mostly like electrolyte stuff?
Yeah, because I noticed potassium, so what I could catch before the,
No, it's actually, remember, it's ketones and medium chain fats. That's what's in it. Now, it does have sodium in there because as a result of being in constant ketone metabolism, our body tends to lose more water. Ketones are kind of like a natural diuretic a little bit, and so that's why, too, you want to make it really, really clear that you want to replenish electrolytes in this. That's what you mean. So, yeah, so potassium, magnesium, and sodium. So lots of Himalayan salt, magnesium, lots of avocados, potassium. Avocados are a great way to combat that. Bone broth is excellent for that. Yeah.
It might be okay to resume your root vegetable juicing in the times that you're not doing the ketogenic diet.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And on that note also, if you're advised to have a low ketogenic diet, which means
A low what?
ketogenic, which means you're not having cruciferous vegetables,
Uh-huh.
because they block the uptake of iodine, then you'd have to balance that in the cyclical stage.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because what happens, so you talked about cruciferous vegetables possibly downregulating your thyroid. Now, the thing with that is that if you're actually solely burning sugar for fuel, that actually causes your thyroid to make something called reverse T3 and T4, which is actually thyroid issues right there. So doing that very nature of being a carbohydrate burner, so doing this kind of stuff actually reverses thyroid dysfunction in a lot of cases. But there's different approaches to everything. People get healthy by just going purely vegan. And it makes sense why they get healthy by going purely vegan, because what were they doing before usually? Eating commercial meat, which is loaded with toxins. So if you reduce a toxic load and start to eat more vegetables, of course you're gonna get healthy. The thing is, all these studies about meat and everything, they never distinguish between unhealthy meat and healthy meat. Never. Like in the new documentary, What the Health, everyone's, oh, what's going on? They don't distinguish that. So they're not talking about grass-fed farms, animals raised sustainably. They don't talk about that. They're talking about the commercial stuff laced with antibiotics, hormones, GMOs, all sorts of stuff. You got to tell both sides of what's going on here. And a lot of these documentaries, a lot of this pro-vegan agenda, they don't talk about that. Because healthy meat is absolutely healthy. Any other questions? Yeah.
When you say eat nuts, is that raw and organic?
Yes.
And that's usually-
Yes. Yep. And macadamia nuts, in my opinion, are the best because it's low in protein. And one of the hardest things for me is to keep that moderate amount of protein to stay in ketosis. So I don't want to add extra protein in certain sources. Because I mean, one egg, you know, I love eggs. Pastured eggs, one egg is 6 to 7 grams of protein per egg. You know?
Do you mean like in the yolk? I mean,
Well,
like if you just had egg whites?
Well, no, you'd actually want to have only egg yolks. That's where all the nutrition is. Egg whites are more of the proteins at, but I just do the whole egg in general. But it's still, you're getting a lot of protein right there, you know? And if you're like me, eating, you know, 4 or 5 eggs at a time, that adds up. So I don't want to get other protein sources from nuts. So that's why I choose macadamia nuts. And again, they have the least amount of toxins and molds. And they're delicious. Yeah, the Hawaiians know what's up. They do. Yes. Any other questions? Cool, guys. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it.